Hi, sixth graders. I want to remind you of some super important information when it comes to nonfiction reading as well as writing. You might remember this from earlier units. This is probably not new. At least it's probably more of like a reminder. And I want you to take a look at this chart. Maybe you remember this chart. These are different text structures. And text structures are ways that nonfiction authors will organize the information in their texts to better teach their readers. Because as we know, the goal of a nonfiction text is to teach. So these structures are tools for that. Take a look at this chart. Maybe pull it up on your own screen or look at it with me. What do you remember? What feels a little bit unfamiliar? What feels totally unfamiliar? Boxes and bullets, main ideas, supporting details, sequential, so maybe that's like a timeline or chronological order, comparing and contrasting, cause and effect. You have two ways that could go. It might start with the action and then explain how something happens. Or it might start by saying what happens as a result of something that happened before an action. Problem solution also has two ways it can go. It might start with the problem, or it might start the opposite, where it tells you it's a solution to a problem that's already been established. So we're going to be using this chart, thinking about text structures that we've seen before in nonfiction texts, to dissect a little bit of this beautiful nonfiction text. This is called The Great American Dust Bowl, and it's written and illustrated by Don Brown. This is a high-level nonfiction text, and that means that this author might be using not just more than one of these across the text, but more than one of these per section. So we need to be looking very closely. Are you ready? Let's try it. Now, before we really dive in, let's do what we know we're supposed to do as nonfiction readers. Let's preview. Let's get some ideas going and make some predictions. That will help us to figure out the main ideas and also help us to figure out what text structures are coming up. We might even be able to make some predictions on future text structures. The Great American Dust Bowl. I'm already thinking about problem and solution. It seems like this is scary, just from the text features here. We have this car being blown away. I've also heard about this in history where I think it sounds like, I think I remember it being like really destructive. So I'm thinking I'll probably hear some problems and solutions, maybe like what happened and how people fixed it. But I'm also thinking that maybe I'll hear a bit of cause and effect, like why? Let's just read the blurb to see if we can get some more information to help us predict what could be coming. A speck of dust is a tiny thing. In fact, 5 of them could fit into the period at the end of this sentence. On a clear, warm Sunday, April 14th, 1935, a wild wind whipped up billions upon billions of these specks of dust to form a duster, a savage storm on America's high southern plains. Yeah, I'm thinking that I'll probably be hearing some cause and effect. Maybe it will be, it seems like it's starting with telling me like what the problem was, or sorry, what happened. So maybe it's like it's me this one, what happens as a result of something. So maybe the text will be teaching me more about like the stuff that caused a dust bowl. Maybe I should jot this down. Or maybe, remember our earlier one? Maybe it will teach the solutions, ways people solve the problem. Like maybe it'll be focusing on like the aftermath and what people had to do to help. So do you see how my predictions also have text structure in mind? That will help me to come up to figure out a really clear main idea. The sky turned black. Sand-filled winds scored the paint Off houses and cars, trains derailed, and electricity coursed through the air. Sand and dirt felt like snow. Okay, so it's telling like the aftermath, like what it all looks like after this something horrible probably caused this. So what happens as a result? I'm really thinking that's going to be this version of cause and effect. So all the stuff that it was like all the consequences first, and then why they all happened. Sand and dirt fell like snow. People got lost in the gloom and suffocated. Oh my gosh. And that was just the beginning. Okay, so yeah, I'm thinking that these are on track because it seems like it's going to be talking to me about like what caused this, but then also the destruction and how people had to help to fix it. Okay, so let's start reading. Let's see if these still hold true. The Great American Dust Bowl. Remember, we're on the lookout for not only main ideas this time, but text structures to help us see and understand these main ideas. A speck of dust is a tiny thing. 5 of them could fit on the period at the end of this sentence. Oh my God, here it comes. On a clear, warm Sunday, April 14th, 1935, a wild wind whipped up billions upon billions of specks of dust to form a savage storm on America's plains. Panicked birds and rabbits fled. The temperature plummeted 50 degrees. Electricity coursed through the air. Frightened people raced to their nearest shelter. But the story of the Black Sunday monster started much, much earlier. Ooh. Remember how I said I think that maybe it will teach me about what caused the Dust Bowl? I think that that prediction might be kind of right. So I'm going to be using this chart to kind of to stay on the lookout for those things. So I'm going to be really looking to see what happens as a result, actions that happen first, and then the reason that they happen. So maybe all the things that led up to this Dust Bowl, and then all the things that happened as a result of it. So I'm going to put these off to the side and keep looking closely for these. I'm expecting to see more of that. I have to show you these gorgeous illustrations. How beautiful. Just taking the page for a second. What do you think that this page will be about? So I'm just looking at these beautiful text features. 60 to 100 million years ago, the Rocky Mountains in North America were born. Immense sections of the Earth's surface called plates, tectonic plates, slowly riding currents of hot, soft rock swimming beneath them, met. So basically, it seems like these giant rocks that make up these continents like kind of came together, met together. And this text feature is helping me to understand that one plate slid beneath the other in a process called subduction. So like literally just colliding like this. Wow. The lower plate, along with the great forces within the earth, lifted the other plate. Look at that, lifting it up. Whoa. And then look at that, mountains. The Rockies were born. So just collision, mountains. Wow. And the plane behind it rose thousands of feet above sea level. To the east of the new mountains lay a huge shallow sea. In time, it dried up, and its flat sea floor became a flat plain. Oh, so it seems like one of the plates had water on top of it. Because it was moving toward, it was like kind of like moving upward, maybe the water kind of like trickled off until it was totally dried up. So then it means that that's like where maybe this dust comes from. I'm thinking it's because there was just like so much empty space here. Lay shallow sea. In time it dried up, and its flat sea floor became a flat plain. The plain which stretches eastward to the Mississippi River is one of the most level places on Earth. Very flat. The plain bordering the Rockies, despite its flatness, is still more than 1,000 feet above sea level. It is a dry place. It receives no more than 20 inches of rain and snow a year, about half of what Georgia, Maine, or Oregon gets. Let me just check in with my text structures. Am I still seeing this? An action that happens first, the reason something else. I think this is like perfectly it. It's like perfectly all the stuff that happens, like the collision of tectonic plates, one of these planes totally flattening and drying out, and then this becoming this really, really dry space, which probably is going to result in this dust bowl. So by using these hints too, I'm really starting to land closer, I think, to a main idea so far. Whereas this one, I'm just kind of able to abandon for now, the problem solution, because I haven't seen so much of that yet. Maybe I will later on, some problems and some solutions, but I haven't quite yet. I'll keep reading this part. It is a dry place that receives no more than 20 inches of rain a year, but about half what Oregon, Maine, or Oregon gets. These 6 features. American Indians found the bison and made them the center of their culture, using them for food, clothing, and shelter. The Indians, the buffalo, the land, and the weather existed in a balance for more than 1,000 years. Ooh. Okay, so people lived here. A whole civilization of American Indians lived here on this flat plain. So I think that it actually is not just cause and effect. We will be learning about some problems and maybe some solutions, because now I'm predicting that the people and the animals that lived here probably really, really suffered and probably lost their land and maybe even their culture because of this. So now, are you seeing how by predicting with text structure in mind, I'm able to come up with some really strong main idea possibilities? And also, I have my lenses for reading right now are so much stronger than they were before. I feel like I'm being so much more critical about the text in a good way. Critical. I'm thinking critically. I'm really trying to put pieces together, and then it's allowing me to jump right to what the author is probably teaching me. And by using text structure, I can see that there's 2 things probably going on at once. Let's flip ahead and just see if that comes true. Oh, so things get really, really bad for the American Indians, it seems like. Ranchers were sure that the immensity of grass that had supported the bison would sustain cattle, and then they all died. But cattle lack the sturdiness of bison. Summer heat and winter blizzards wipe them out. So it becomes like almost like abandoned land. People lose their property. Seems like it becomes like a really tough, hard place to live. There wasn't much time for fun. So sad everybody looks. Even more problems come about. First World War ending in 1914 wrecked a lot of this area. Whatever farming was there seems to have disintegrated it. Poverty, yeah, so problems that have come from this too. Poverty, loss of culture, of cattle, of farming. All these horribly sad people. Wow. Okay, it looks like this is where the duster happens. Yeah, so it looks like basically they tried to use the land however they could, digging. There's no moisture in the soil. It blew up the dirt. Look at that. Beautiful text features. And then this storm of wind came and just kind of totally took the whole surface off. Wow. Let's go to the end and just see problem solution, cause and effect. We'll just check in. Oh, wait a second. I'm also realizing that this is in sequential order. It's also telling me it's through a historical timeline. It's starting at the very beginning. It went all the way back actually to like prehistoric, has tectonic plates before there was any humans living here, to early America, to World War One, and now to the night, so like 1914, 1930s. So I also have this text structure. So I have three at play. Wow. Oh, wait a second. Am I seeing some things come up that are more positive? Oh, wait. So it looks like people start to try to help. People organize rabbit drives, herding through thousands of them into pens and clubbing them to death. Oh gosh, no, things just get worse and worse. More problems, more problems. What else? Very, very end. Wow. Just seems like it keeps getting worse and worse. Yeah, there actually is no positive ending really here. But what I do know for sure is that cause and effect is at play, probably from start to finish. Sequential order is at play, also from start to finish. And problem solution also plays a big role too, to show the damage and the effects that it had, and the many effects that it had on people and on the cultures that lived there, and also on the animals and the wildlife that was there too. So I hope you see that nonfiction authors organize text by using a variety of structures to teach their readers. By choosing text structures, nonfiction readers can better help their readers understand what's most important. So if you're writing a nonfiction text, you might think about what nonfiction text structures will help you. Will you have an overarching one or two, like how this author does? Will you have a few working at once? Will you have it organized so that each chapter has its own text structure? You might start thinking about that today, because there's so many possibilities for the way you can organize your text, but no one can really decide beside you. So it comes down to thinking, well, what are you trying to teach anyway? And what will be the best way to help your readers to understand? I can't wait to see what you think of as not only a nonfiction reader, but also as an information writer. Enjoy.